Namaste. Welcome to today's session of the Overview webinar series. My name is Dimple and I'm the servant leader at INDICA Courses, a pioneering INDICA EdTech enterprise in the indigenous knowledge systems domain. We are one of the many interventions by INDICA Academy or INDICA in the service of Indian knowledge systems. INDICA is an institute dedicated to Indic knowledge, traditions, and cultural heritage. We envision a world where the wisdom and practices of traditions are integrated into everyday life, providing solutions for individual well-being and happiness, as well as promoting global peace and sustainability. Our goal is to facilitate seekers' journey in discovering their identity, finding their purpose, and nurturing their potential by enabling access to these valuable traditions. To know more about INDICA, please visit indica.in. At INDICA Courses, we create and curate courses online and offline, and also workshops across multiple IKS disciplines for lifelong learners who share our belief in the transformative power of timeless indigenous wisdom. To know more about our work and offerings, please visit indica.courses. A cursory glance at our catalog there will reveal a plethora of courses across various streams of traditional knowledge. We welcome you to peruse our course catalog on indica.courses and enroll, gift, and recommend the same. You can bookmark our website for future reference and also follow us on social media to stay updated about our upcoming and ongoing courses. The Overview webinar series has been specifically created as an interface for prospective learners to understand what a particular INDICA course has to offer so that they can make an informed enrollment decision. We have organized a number of such sessions in the past, and the recordings of each of those sessions is available on INDICA YouTube. We've actually put it as a specific playlist for you, and we will be sharing that playlist for your reference and future dissemination. The recording of this overview webinar will also be emailed to everyone who's registered for today's event. The webinar this evening is about INDICA course Sanskrit for Beginners Basic Course. It is open to learners above 15 years of age and is our effort to revive Sanskrit among people in an interesting and innovative manner. The course begins from the 2nd of June, and live sessions will be conducted on our learning portal every Tuesday and Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. IST. Recording of every session will be made available on the portal within 72 hours of the class. In this manner, you can not only refresh or revise your learning, but in case you miss a live session, you can always catch up and be with your cohort. Before I invite our bright young faculty, Sahita Vyasji, to take us through this overview session, I would like to introduce her to you. Sahita Vyasji is a BA Sanskrit from Sri Somnath Sanskrit University and MA Sanskrit and Lexicography from Deccan College, PGRI. She's completed B2.1 in German language from Max Müller Bhavan, Pune. She's worked with different organizations teaching Sanskrit and German and is currently handling numerous operations of eLingua Hub, a platform for teaching languages. She's also currently pursuing PhD in Sanskrit at Indus University, Ahmedabad. Welcome, Sahita ji. The floor is yours. Please take us through the session today.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Dimple ji. Namaste to each and everyone present over here. We welcome you to the overview webinar of Sanskrit for Beginners. So we do have a tradition of in Sanskrit, we do have a tradition of starting anything with a Mangalam. So I would like to recite a Saraswati Vandana and then go ahead with our overview webinar. Ya kundendu tusharahara dhavana, ya shubhravastra vruta, ya veena gardanda mandita kara, ya shveta padmasana, ya brahmachyuta shankara prabhrutibhir devai sada vandita. Sa mam patu saraswati bhagavati nishesha zadhyapaha nishesha zadhyapaha nishesha zadhyapaha. Astu. So let us go ahead with our today's session. Today we are here to understand what are we going to learn in the INDICA course Sanskrit for Beginners. When we talk about Sanskrit as a language, it is very important to understand what all do we have in the language? So the very first point what I would like to make is Sanskrit is not just a language, it is something beyond language. It has several aspects which we can try and go into. So Indica course for Sanskrit for beginners is going to give an introduction to uh, all these aspects in some or the other way. So going ahead and understanding what Sanskrit as a language is, I'd like to present my screen and just show it. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. So the very first point we would like to understand is what is Sanskrit? Yeah, so there are several definitions of what Sanskrit is. One of those definitions is Parishuddham Vyakaranaadi Dosha Rahitam Tat Samskritam. Something which is Parishuddham, that is accurate, which is devoid of all the errors, specifically the grammatical errors and any other errors. So a language which is a well-constructed language, a perfect or a very refined language, an ornamented language. So how is it an ornamented language? We certainly see in the Subhashitas. We also see it in several poems. We see it in dramas and much more. We do see it in the classical Sanskrit language, a classical Sanskrit literature. So it is also a cultivated language. So going ahead, a few more definitions to the same. So Sanskritam Vag Visheshaha. Sanskrit is a special language. Now, how is it a special language? That is what we are going to unfold in our course, of course. So it has the Sanskrit language has several peculiarities which we are going to go through in the course. And Sanskritam Deva Vani, we have certainly heard this, that Sanskrit is the language of gods. Then Veda Bhasha, the language of Veda, is Sanskritam. Again, Shlokopayogika. So the Bhasha, a language which is suitable for poetry, suitable for shlokas, is the Sanskrit language. And Sanskritam Saraswati Vani, Sanskrit is the language of goddess Saraswati. So these are a few various definitions of what Sanskrit is. Apart from this, of course, it is very difficult to explain Sanskrit in a particular definition because it has so many specialties that it cannot be, told in just a few words or even a few sentences. But while we go ahead with our course, the basic Sanskrit course for the basic course for beginners, we are going to see each and every basic aspect of Sanskrit. Let it be Varnamala and its aspects. For example, we do have several bifurcations in the Varnamala as well, not just the Swaraha and Vyanjanani, that is the vowels and the consonants. But apart from this, we also have a few bifurcations in both vowels and the consonants, which help us to pronounce a particular thing correctly. So Sanskrit is a phonetic language. Phonetic language as in the way we write is the way we pronounce it. So that is one more thing which makes Sanskrit a very important language, or a language which is at the base of all the other languages. Now we have heard that we have always heard a sentence that Sanskrit is the mother language of all the languages. Let us go to understand this sentence in detail. When we talk about Sanskrit as a language, yes, it has its impact on all the other existing languages. But it cannot be counted as the mother language of all the other languages. It has a reason again. So we do have language families. So when we talk about linguistics, we do have language families. The total number of language families is 14. One of those language family is the Indo-European language family. This Indo-European language family has Sanskrit as one of the languages in a subfamily. which helps us to understand what all languages do we have around Sanskrit as a language. So of course, when we talk about the daughter languages of the Sanskrit language, we do have Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, Gujarati, Punjabi, and Odia, these 6 languages as the daughters of Sanskrit language. Apart from this, all the other languages, the Indian and the foreign languages, the European languages, all of these languages do have a great impact of Sanskrit on it. The reason is the structure or the systematization of Sanskrit language. Let it be in the terms of grammar, let it be in the terms of vocabulary, or let it be in terms of cultural aspects or even literature. All of these things are systematized in the Sanskrit language, which makes it a base language for all the other languages. So that is the reason one should always try and at least have the introduction to Sanskrit language, which helps in several ways. And again, the similar languages to Sanskrit are Greek, Latin, Persian. So to give you a relatable example, let us talk about the origin of words. Yeah? So when we listen to listen to an English word, yeah. So the root word noun is derived from a Latin word most of the times. So the same way, when we talk about the origin of some Hindi or Marathi or Bengali or Gujarati or any other Indian language, the derivation of that word, we do go back to Sanskrit and find the derivation. So that is how these languages are connected. And again, when we talk about the impact of the Sanskrit language on these languages, on these foreign languages included in the European language family, so of course, it also has a great impact in terms of grammar, in terms of literature as well. For example, the grammar of the Sanskrit language and the German language go similarly. They go parallelly in several terms. Let it be the cases. So that is what makes Sanskrit a very important language to know. Let us go ahead and understand a few peculiarities of Sanskrit language. So while we talk about Sanskrit as a language, what makes it peculiar is one of those aspects is the Sanskrit grammar. When we talk about Sanskrit grammar, we do have Panini Muni. Panini Muni has written a book which is known as Ashtadhyayi. So he was a grammarian and he has written a book named Ashtadhyayi, which has sutras, which has formulas. These formulas in number, they're around 4,000. The exact number is around 3,996 to 4,000. This is the exact number which we have over here. And it is the most ancient available grammar. Now, this is not the only grammar which we have in Sanskrit. We do have several other types of grammar written in Sanskrit. For example, Indra Vyakaran is also one of the grammar which we have in the Sanskrit language, and several more. But Panini's Ashtadhyayi is the most systematized form of grammar. It has bifurcated each and every grammatical topic in a very decent manner, which gives a structure to the language. Whatever structure we are seeing now, since the classical Sanskrit, since Mahabharatam, Ramayanam, all of these things, even the Vedas, whatever format they have, all of this is based on Panini's Sanskrit grammar. Even today, whatever we are learning in Sanskrit as grammar or even the basic structure of sentences, everything is based on Panini's Ashtadhyayi. Now, Ashtadhyayi is a formula-based text. So, for making a particular word, a formula is used, and as we arrive to a solution after using several formulas in mathematics, the same way Panini has been doing this, which we are going to see in detail in our course. This is one of the important aspects which we are going to cover up in the course. With this, these 3,998 sutras are based on basic 14 sutras, which are known as the Maheshwara Sutras. So Maheshwara, the name itself suggests us that these are the sutras which came from the Damaru of Lord Shiva. Now, it certainly has a Danta Katha, a story behind it, which we'll be discussing later. But yeah, these 14 sutras make a great combination, and it gives us a few technical terms of Sanskrit grammar, which makes Sanskrit an approachable language, a very logical language to understand. Yeah, so let us see what these 14 sutras are. So I'll just pronounce it. Ai un, ru ruk, e ong, ai ouch, hayavarat, lan, yamangananam, jabhai, ghadhash, jabagadash, kha, pha, cha, tha, tha, cha, ta, tau, ka, pai, sha, sar, and hal. So these are the 14 Maheshwara Sutras. These are nothing else but a different combination of the vowels and the consonants. So when I was talking about the technical terms of Sanskrit, so these technical terms are based on the short forms. For example, if in Sanskrit grammar, I am saying that I want ach. So ach basically means the all these 4 sutras, as in ai on 1, rul ruk 2, a ong 3, I ouch 4th. So all together, the very first letter and the last letter together make it a pratyahara. So these are a few terms. So we are going to try and understand how it works. In the course, we won't go into the details of the formulas, because here we are focusing on the importance of knowing the basic Sanskrit and not going deep into the Sanskrit grammar. Yeah. So these sutras basically act as a coding part of a beautiful landing page of a particular website. Yeah, so it is to give you a relatable example of what Maheshwara Sutras or Ashtadhyayi in general do. For example, I'll give you one more example. We all must have, heard that we have Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha, Prathama, Ramo, a table, a very big table, 8-line table. Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramo, Raman, Ramena, Ramabhyam, Ramaihi, Ramaya, Ramabhyam, Ramebhyah, Ramat, Ramabhyam, Ramebhyah, and so on. So this whole table, which we have to learn for applying it. So this whole table is made up of these sutras. So for coming to a particular form, it takes a big formula-based thing to come up to it. So what we are going to learn is the very beautiful part of the basic Sanskrit. That is, what are the cases? How do we apply those cases? Also the vocabulary part. Yeah. But the Maheshwara Sutras play an eminent role in systematization of the Sanskrit language. Going ahead, while talking about language, so language is something which keeps on developing. It is not a static thing. It keeps on developing every now and then. So if I chant a particular mantra over here, it seems to be, I'm not able to understand anything. But if I chant a simple shloka as in Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, or even Yakundendu, which I chanted in the starting of the session. So at least we get an idea of what is it about. Here it is talking about Guru, about the teacher, the Guru. There it is talking about Saraswati Devi, the description of Saraswati Devi, how is she looking, and all of these things are being told there. So when we talk about the development of language, we can see three stages over here. One stage is the Prachin Vedic Bhasha, the ancient Sanskrit language, the ancient Vedic language, which was used in the Vedas, and after the Vedas, it was not used. So whatever language has been used in Vedas is a bit different than that of the language used in the texts after the Vedas. And that is why we are also going to see an introduction to the Sanskrit literature, at least knowing what all texts do we have, what are the complementary texts which we need to know the Vedas. All of these things are going to be covered in our course. Also, the next level, the level which has not been mentioned over here, the level in between Prachina and Abhijata, is the medieval Sanskrit language, where we can see several commentaries. Also, the Bhasha of Upanishad, which is Veda based, it is also considered to be the medieval language of medieval Sanskrit language, not Vedic language completely, and also not classical. So the language in Upanishads and the complementary texts to Vedas, the language which we see there is the medieval Sanskrit language. And then we come to the Abhijata Bhasha. So Abhijat is the classical form of Sanskrit language, which has been developing since the Ramayanam, and it is still developing. So these are the stages of language. Now, when we talk about the stages of language, it is also important for us to understand that not just understanding the technical things of the language. We will also be looking forward to learn the vocabulary in language, few easy sentences in the language, to use the conversational Sanskrit part, which can be used in the sessions, which can be used at home. Even to say a few words in Sanskrit is going to make the atmosphere of your home very nice, very spiritual, and also very shuddha. So basic vocabularies like the names of fruits, vegetables, also a few synonyms of particular of particular words. All of these things will be covered in the session. Also, the newly termed words, as in we call phone as Durabhasha, or even something as ice cream, which is known as payohimam, or words like this. So all of these things will be done in the class to make language. We should be able to use the language in our daily lives, which will help us to get closer to the language, and it certainly helps us in several ways. So this is what we are going to do in the course. Going ahead, we are also going to understand why should one go to Sanskrit. I mean, what is the reason? So since the starting of the webinar, I'm talking about various ways one should learn for pronunciation, to know our culture. But then we do have specific reasons why do we need to learn Sanskrit, or at least know the basics of the language. So of course, the first thing is the reflection of culture. Whatever culture we follow in India, in Bharat, all of these things come out of Sanskrit and are used and are accepted as a culture in different parts of India. Starting from the Ritu Chakra, the Ritu Charya, the 6 seasons. If you see it specifically, the end of every season we mark a festival. It is marked by a festival, which has some delicacy to be prepared, which is a traditional delicacy, food to be prepared and to eat it, which differs from region to region. And many such things are being done as a culture in Bharata since thousands of years. So all of these things are from Sanskrit. They are to be understood and taken forward as it is. Because, of course, everything has a reason to be understood or even applied, followed. The next important thing is the language skills. Sanskrit gives us command over a lot of languages. It improves our language skills. The acquisition of language becomes easier if we know Sanskrit, or if we are aware of how Sanskrit language works, or how do we pronounce it, the basics of Sanskrit. So acquiring languages becomes easy through it. That is why one should go ahead with Sanskrit to learn the language. And also the most relevant and important point here is it acts as a primary source for almost all the fields. So to count on, if we talk about any of the topics in Sanskrit, yes, we do have Sanskrit it acts as a primary source. For example, if I talk about dramatics, we do have Natya Shastra. If I talk about the economics, we do have Artha Shastram. Of course, all of these things have some or the other, they do have a traditional, aspect in those particular texts. But yes, knowing these primary sources and working on that, that is what we are going to do. We are going to try and understand what all primary texts do we actually have in Sanskrit. With this, we are going to explore the classical texts of Sanskrit. The Kavis like Kalidasa, Bhasa. So the introduction to all of these, what all do we have in the classical Sanskrit language? So a few famous, dramas and poems which you already know is Meghadutam or Abhijnana Shakuntalam, Kumara Sambhavam, and so on. So all of these things, what all do we have? What are Sanskrit aesthetics? The rasas in the concept of rasa in Sanskrit, alankaras in Sanskrit. And the most important part is the shlokas, the subhashitas in Sanskrit. So we do have, subhashita. We generally, see it somewhere or the other. So subhashitas like, motivational subhashitas as in Udyame nahi siddhyanti karyani na manorathaihi nahi suptasya simhasya pravishanti mukhe mrugaha. So hard work is must for anything. You need to keep on trying and so on. So there are several such subhashitas which we are going to do in our sessions, which gives us some wisdom in every session to follow and keep it with us and also apply it in our lives. So this is what we see when we see the basics of the Sanskrit language. The INDICA course, Sanskrit for beginners, aims all of these things. So we can certainly think that you can certainly we can certainly ensure you that it is going to be an overview of the fundamentals of the Sanskrit language. Say the basics, grammatical concepts, the conversational skills, also the introduction to the literature of Sanskrit. What the structure, what corpus do we have? How is the Vedic corpus? How does it look like? So the four Vedas. No, it's not just the Vedic literature. Vedic literature is more than just four Vedas. The Upavedas and the texts which are used to understand the Vedas, the Aranyakas, the Upanishads, the Brahmanas, and the 6 limbs of Veda Purusha, which are known as the Vedangas. So these 6 limbs are based on Shiksha, which is phonetics. It is also Nighantu, the word list of the Vedic Sanskrit. Also, we have Jyotisham, we have Vyakaranam, we have Chandas. Chandas are the meters of the Sanskrit language, and so on. All of these things are to be understood in the Sanskrit for beginners course. Apart from this, we'll also be having uh, a easy to go exercises for practice on daily basis, on session basis. This is going to help to refine our language at all possible extents. So this is what we'll be seeing in Sanskrit as a language. Apart from this, we are going to also, just a second, I'll just stop sharing the screen and go ahead. Yeah. So apart from this, we'll be seeing a few Sanskrit stories, which will act as a listening skill for all of you. We all will be focusing on all the 4 skills of the language, which is reading, writing, speaking, and listening. All of us will be talking in Sanskrit after a few sessions, at least the basic Sanskrit words, basic Sanskrit sentences, and also a few amazing songs in Sanskrit, which are translated from a particular language into the Sanskrit language, and they are amazing. They are the amazing songs of the Sanskrit language. So this is what we are going to have in the course. Yes, Dimple ji.
Thank you so much, Saita ji. That was very informative, and your whole way of speaking is like you're teaching. So I was totally glued onto what's happening, and I for a moment forgot that I'm the host of this session. So with this, we come to the Q&A part of the session. So if any of the guests have a question and they would like to ask it, we have enough time. So perhaps any audience member who has a question could raise their hand, and we'll move them to the panel so that they can ask it directly. Or if for some reason you would not like that option, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box. So any questions from anyone? There were a couple of questions, Sahita ji, which I addressed while you were speaking. Okay, we have one more question. What is the total fee and the duration of the course? So, Sahita ji, would you like to talk about it, or do you want me to?
You may go ahead.
So this is a 30 hours course, and one of the questions that was asked by an attendee is why 30 hours. So I answered it, and I think your overview presentation also explained that it's not just teaching basic Sanskrit, it's also about an introduction to the portal that Sanskrit language is. So this is for 30 hours. All the duration details, fees details, what is the time, everything, what is the day, the entire course syllabus, expectations from the course, and what will be the outcome and all are all listed on the course page that I have shared with the group. So please feel free to, go. Okay. Okay, Megha ji, please feel free to just mail us at reachout@indica.courses, and we'll see what can be done. Malvika ji is asking, is this a series besides beginner? Yes, Malvika ji, thank you for asking this. We did have an intermediate course. The idea is essentially to have a basic course, intermediate and advanced. We've had quite a few basic sessions. We had one intermediate course. The idea is to create a significant volume of basic course learners who can then move to the next stage. So yes, that definitely is there. That's how we have planned it. Isn't 30 hours too less? A lifetime is less, actually, dear anonymous attendee ji. But this is the basic course, and we feel that this basic course will give you a flavor of what the portal that is Sanskrit is, and that is why this particular duration. It is twice a week, as I requested you. If you look at the enrollment page that I've shared with you, it is all the details. So twice a week, and I did mention it in the beginning of the session also. So 2 days, and it will be conducted on our learning portal. So live sessions will be there. Recording will also be put. So Vishal Mittal ji asks Sahita ji, and I would request you to answer it, that after this course, can we read basic books in Sanskrit?
Yes, certainly. Reading basic books is possible after the course. Understanding those is also possible at an extent.
Okay. So then there's one more question. Gopal Pingali ji says, any suggested books? Sangeeta ji, actually, one other person had asked, I am forgetting the name, pardon my memory failure here, that they were asking if they will have to buy a book or any text. So I said that no, the reading material will be provided by us only. So
Yes.
I'm not sure if Gopalji's question is on the same lines. So Gopalji, please clarify if my understanding of your question is incorrect.
We'll be providing a book.
Okay.
I mean, we'll be providing the material for the course.
Yes, correct. So Subramaniam Darbhaji has asked a question, Sangeeta ji. It's right there on top.
Okay.
If you could just have a look at it, I would want you to answer.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just read it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it certainly goes to one of the topics of the course. So certainly it's like understanding the aspects of Varnamala, which will answer the questions for him. But then it is an elaborated topic to talk about now.
Okay. Hope that answers your question. If not, please feel free to ask again. So Sridharan ji has asked a question. Sangeeta ji, just have a look, please. Sridharan DVG.
Yeah, yes. So Devanagari script, the basic, if you are aware of the basic Devanagari script, it is recommended. If not, in the first 2 to 3 sessions, we'll be having an overview of the Devanagari script. If at all someone is not, a general overview of the script, which will help if you're not aware of it.
Okay. One more question is by Anjan Nandiji. He's asking, can we read scripts after this?
Scripts, as in, apart from Devanagari, of course not. You'll have to go and, explore for the scripts.
Correct. So Gopal Pingliji has asked an operational question, so I'll address it, Sangeeta ji. He says that once we enroll, if we miss a class, would the lecture be available? Yes, Gopal ji, as I said in the beginning only, every live session is recorded and it is made available on the learning portal within 72 hours of the live session. So you can easily peruse it at your convenience in case you miss a session, and access to the entire course material, which is any, learning resources and the recordings, is there for 1 year. So you can easily benefit from it. Sangeeta ji, is the knowledge of Hindi script, which is Devanagari, the question
Devanagari.
is it mandatory? Is it a prerequisite?
It is not mandatory to know it. If we know, it's better. If not, we are anyways going to cover it up in the initial sessions.
Okay. So any exam?
We do not have an exam. We do have quizzes for fun, which will be done in the 30 sessions whenever needed.
1 second.
Yeah.
Then, okay, Prasant Vasuji's question I've already answered. Is there any homework, Sangeeta ji, in addition?
We do have tasks. We do have tasks to be done. I mean, the simple ones, not elaborated homework, of course.
Okay. I am hoping these will be all fun exercises.
Of course, all of these are fun exercises.
Okay. Again, another question, does studying Hindi assist in knowing Devanagari script? The script for Hindi is Devanagari Mariji. So that is the answer. I think if you need more clarification, please do feel free to ask. Sangeeta ji, Subramaniam Darbhaji asks, can you guide me with the area that I should research independently?
For that, we'll have to understand what is it, what exactly he is into, which will.
If with your permission, I would like to add to it. So Subramaniam ji, as Sangeeta ji mentioned, that Sanskrit is like a portal, and most of our primary resources are in that language. Knowing that language, every individual bases their vocation or any field in which they are working or studying. So if you are a management professional, or if you are a physician, or if you are an engineer, or you are an economist, as Sahita ji mentioned, or if you are a sociologist, it will help you look at the texts for that subject. Sanskrit is a language. There are various texts for various fields of knowledge which are written in Sanskrit. So once, I'm sure not just by basic course, but once you have a flavor of this language, and when you progress to the next level, you will be able to actually research manuscripts, identify manuscripts related to your field of interest. So perhaps depending on the field that you are in, you will be able to, actually read the scripts which have ancient wisdom or knowledge or are earlier texts in this language. Then for Hindi speakers aware of Hindi Varnamala, how useful will it be for them, Sahita ji?
Because it is Devanagari script, of course, it is going to be beneficial in all the ways, for reading or even for understanding.
So quite a few folks have asked, so I'm just again repeating it. It's a 30 hours course. It begins from the 2nd of June 2023. Classes will be an hour long, twice a week, every Tuesday and Friday. 15th August will be an off, obviously, because of the Independence Day. So it begins on the 2nd of June. It concludes on 15th of September. Provided there is no postponement on any account, which I really don't foresee, but every week before your session, a reminder is sent to the entire batch so that they know that they have to, attend the live session. The link of the session is also included in that mail, so you're on board. If you miss a session for any reason, the recording is provided. So this is largely what is there. Okay, does learning Hindi help with learning Sanskrit? Sahita ji, would you like to answer this?
Yeah, it will certainly help.
Because not just that, like if you know Hindi, if you know Hindi and then you start learning Sanskrit, you will realize why one says that Hindi is derived from Sanskrit. I mean
Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
Correct.
So Sahita ji, one question from Vinita ji. That somebody has suggested a book, Sanskrit Swayam Shikshak by Damodar Satwalekar ji, to learn Sanskrit. Is that a good book for beginners?
Okay, so certainly that is a good one for beginners, but then when it comes to the detailed grammatical topics, which we are not going to go into for the basic level, so the topics which will be covered in the session can be certainly referred from that book as an exercise. Apart from it, not the detailed grammatical topic.
Okay. Anonymous attendee, can individuals born out of India and not acclimatized to the culture take this course? Sahita ji, what is your answer?
Of course, they can. They will be able to understand what do we have.
I mean, just not digressing, but adding to it that we have students from across the world of various nationalities and enrolled for a plethora of INDICA courses. So you're all welcome. We are a very inclusive organization. So as long as it is traditional wisdom, indigenous wisdom, Indic knowledge systems that you're interested in, please feel free to join. Giridhar Murthy ji has a very important question. He says, in which language will classes be conducted?
Okay, so the classes will be conducted in English language, also Sanskrit language, and wherever needed, I'll be using various languages like Hindi or even Gujarati for that case to make the concept clearer.
Okay.
But mostly in English and Sanskrit.
Another anonymous attendee, or perhaps the same one, they say, I am a philosophy student and my core subject is Advaita philosophy. How will your course help me to understand the primary texts from Acharya Shankar, like Viveka Chudamani, Vedanta, Dindima and all?
Dindima. Okay. So, of course, you will get the basics of the language, the flavor of Sanskrit language, and the structure of the sentences, which will certainly help you to read out those texts. And again, those texts do have beautiful commentaries to read and, understand it in a better way. So reading the primary texts and understanding the commentary is something what you will be able to do after the course.
Okay, now there is there's another question by anonymous. Dear anonymous attendee, please feel free. This is a safe space. Just don't need to be anonymous, but okay, that's on a very lighter note. There are there's a question that they ask, can I learn Sanskrit through books rather than through video courses, or in what way will is... Okay, so let me answer it, Sahitaji. I think I got the gist of it.
Yeah.
So, anonymous attendee G, this is not a video course. We actually have only one video course, which is a self-paced course, which means that, recordings are created and uploaded and, kept there for the learners to enroll and peruse at their, leisure. We did start that earlier, but then since our intent is that people should partake of the knowledge, and we realized that the take rate, as in people consuming that course, is very less. Like even my personal experience across various portals, in my different fields of knowledge that I've been engaged in, when I have opted for such courses, I've realized that it really doesn't work. At INDICA, we want the learners who've enrolled to actually benefit from it. And in that manner, the live sessions matter. So we are not a video, course at all. It is a live class, just that it's conducted online. So people from across the world, across time zones, across cultures can come and benefit. Sahita ji is very passionate about languages, especially Sanskrit, as you would have gauged from her profile itself. So this is a very different experience. Plus, when you have a cohort wherein, your other co-learners there in the batch, the whole in the experience of learning is heightened, and there's sheer joy in learning collectively. So it's very much different from video learning, that you would say. Sanskrit is different than Hindi. Fernando ji asked. Yes, Sanskrit is different than language. Sanskrit is a different language. Hindi is another language. The script for both is Devanagari. Rishi ji is asking, how can one improve vocabulary, or how will you be assisting with it? Is there any provision for it? Sahita ji?
For Sanskrit, we will be giving the vocabulary. Of course, we'll be learning new vocabulary. For other languages, if we are talking about the languages other than Sanskrit, so we can improve our pronunciations of pronunciations in general with the use of Sanskrit language or learning the Sanskrit language. Rest will also be going through a few shlokas of Amara Kosha, some part of Amara Kosha, which will give an insight on what type of vocabulary we do have in Sanskrit, which can also be used in other languages like Hindi.
Okay, Sahitaji, very pertinent question. Another anonymous attendee, or perhaps the same one, they write that if I foresee mainly using the recordings, given time difference with India, would that be effective? Like they're saying that they might not be able to attend all live sessions. Do you think that it will be enough for them to catch up through the recordings? Just add to it, we also have a discussion forum. So if there is a finite time duration of each course. The live session is an hour long, even though it's twice a week, so 2 hours of learning. So most of the times, the discussion forum that we have on the course page on our learning portal, it allows the learner community to post their doubts, their observations, etc., related to the live session. So, and they can also put forth their inquiries about anything that they were not able to understand, or if they want to comment on something or add to the learning journey of the whole cohort, they can use that. So with that background, would you like to comment on this, Saitaji? If the person seems to indicate that they might only be doing asynchronous learning, would it benefit them or not?
It would certainly benefit if at all they do it on a regular basis. It is important to complete watching both the videos weekly and come up with the doubts on discussion forum, which will help them to be on track to understand that.
Okay. Can I buy Nirukta book from your website? I am that philosophy student. We do not retail books, anonymous attendee, so I am not sure why you would ask us this question. Besides, there was one question by one audience member. I forget their name, and I think while I was closing the queries, I did done on that particular question. So the question was whether they can see INR pricing and whether there's USD pricing. Yes, for all India-based learners, the pricing will be INR. Any other location, currently it is only USD, but we are working on making it country specific for now, but it is INR and USD. You should be able to find the USD price also there. Any other question? We are at 6:49. Any question, any comment, please feel free to raise your hand and maybe we can converse. Otherwise, I think we've covered quite a fair amount of ground in the Q&A, but just to repeat, because this kept being asked many times. So this is a basic course. It is open to learners about 15 years of age. The medium of instruction is primarily English so that it is more inclusive. It is for 30 hours. It will begin on the 2nd of June. The classes will be organized every Tuesday and Friday from 7 to 8 p.m. And if you miss a class, you can access the recording on the learning portal, and access to all the reading material and recordings is for 1 year. We tried to answer as many queries as we could during the session, but it is possible that we might have missed on something. So if there is anything else that comes to your mind that you feel we did not respond to or address in this session, please feel free to reach out to us at reachout@indica.courses. Also, as mentioned initially, we will be sending a recording of this particular session also to everybody who registered. So then you can actually peruse it again, go through it. If there are any questions, please feel free to mail us at reachout@indica.courses, and we'll get back to you within 72 hours for sure. With that, we've had more than 200 plus registrations for this webinar, and at one point of time, we had around 70 people who were joining this. It is a Saturday, and that all of you chose to take out time from your busy schedule and join us and create this beautiful learning space for all of us. For that, I'm really grateful to you all. Sahita ji, as always, such a delight interacting with you, learning from you.
Thank you so much.
When young people are so passionate about our culture, our traditions, our texts, our language, it gives old people like us hope. So thank you so much to all the audience members, the folks who registered, to our faculty and my colleagues at INDICA who helped create this seamless experience. With that, I'll see you all hopefully in the Sanskrit for Beginners basic course, which begins from the 2nd of June. And we'll meet again in the next session of our overview webinar series very soon. Till then, namaste.